wrong 'un. Welcome to the Theatre of the Mind. Welcome to the Sunday sermon. Please join us in the pews, if you will. Obviously, you'll have to push in because it's quite busy this evening. Always is on a Sunday. So get yourself in the pews. Make sure you've got your altar wine and your slice of Battenberg and maybe a little curly whirly, if that's how it comes out, and make yourself comfortable. Bring your piles cushion, and because the pews are a little difficult and a little hard, so to speak. We will be talking about hardness a little bit later. Ooh, I say, Reverend, what are you talking about? So, welcome to the... What have I done? What's there? Welcome to the Church of the Battenbergers. Cough still hasn't gone. Seemingly it's that 100-deer cough. But anyway, good to see that Amalia's in the body of the kirk this evening. She was early and she remembered. Well done, Amalia. Good to see that you're in the body of the kirk. Amalia says, oh, I just remembered. Thank goodness it's Sunday. Thank Crunchy it's Friday, said somebody, Amalia. Andrew James, if you see pens and paper, please help yourself. There is going to be 3 seminars tonight with Terry Wookfit, Inside the Mind of Terry Wookfit, the concept of Terry Wookfit, and we are all Terry Wookfit. Is he in the body of the kirk yet? Johnny Ray, welcome, Johnny. Agreed. I always look forward to the bi-weekly sermons on Wednesday and Sunday evenings. Let me tell you, there's nothing bi about this Reverend. Don't call me P. Diddy. Leeds, evening, Adrian. The gap is closing down to 3 points, I understand, Leeds. I did see that you did well yesterday. We didn't. Against QPR, it was a bit pants, to be fair. And Joe Bellingham, I mean, he's one of the most gentle footballers there is. He's not Norman Hunter, let's face it, or Johnny Giles for that matter. And he gets a red card yesterday. Don't know what's going on. Maybe he wants a few matches off because he's getting a bit leggy. Who knows? But I every Saturday or whenever the Championship are playing, Leeds, I always look out for your result. Always. Just to make sure you're behind us. I joke. Leah says, hi Adrian, hi all. It doesn't get better than Sunday and Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Adrian's channel on YouTube. Thank you, Leah. Really appreciate it. I've been doing some thinking recently. And over the coming weeks, I want to try something. I'm not going to say anything. I just want to try it to see how you like it. Because I do believe that there's a lot going on in the world currently and historically. And I want to cover some of that and bring my unique take on it. So I was going to start this evening, but stuff got in the way. But I am going to ask you some questions tonight, and one of them is pertinent. Not telling you which one, but it will be that I do deeper dives into certain things and certain subjects, and I bring them to the lives, and then we stick them up. These lives are a bit like having memberships. Those that know and attend. Those that don't, well, they'll still be sticking their finger up the backside watching Strictly Can't Dance. Well, Strictly losing viewers can't dance. So thank you for that, Leah. Viv Kenyon, well, it's that time again. So sitting in my pew, ready, willing and able. I'd heard the rumours, Viv. Bring in our ranting Rev. You're too kind, Viv. Vivindalo. Paulie Galtieri, evening, Adrian. Yeah, wrong. The Bovril. I love saying that now. Evening, all. The American elections this week. War or peace? Harris or Trump? Let's hope for the latter. The Bovril. I've just been, not to go in it too deeply. I haven't slept very well this weekend. And I don't know whether it's sort of, the big lad upstairs with a big beard and the harp and the wings and the white coat sitting in his cloud going, Adrian, we need you. The American election on Tuesday evening. Because it all happens when we're asleep. So I don't know. It was okay doing the UK elections, the GE, the general election. But I mean, I can go to bed and get up at 5 o'clock the next morning and it'll still be coming in. In fact, if the Democrats have anything to do with it, the votes will still be coming in 3 weeks after the election. And I'm not joking. So keep your ears open. I might do something on Tuesday around the American elections because I have been telling you, this is, there's world peace at stake here. And now that we're getting close to the American election, the all the stuff that I've been talking about for the last 18 months, or nearly 2 years actually, becomes ever more prescient, I think is a beautiful word to use. So thank you. Oh, Bovril. And we'll see what we do on Tuesday. Stuart says, evening, Adrian. I'm back to Battenberg this evening because it's Church of the Battenberg, not Toblerone. Yeah, Rowan. That's as it goes in. That's as it comes out. I'll let you make the rest up. But you know I have a furtive imagination. Ernst Goldfinger. Welcome, Ernst. Hi all. I personally would like to thank the Spanish public for telling us they're wage-paying tourists to Foxtrot Oscar and not visit Spain. They saved my wonderful holiday from their karma floods. It wasn't very calm at all, Ernst. And I think they may be wanting us back, the British paying tourists, considering the amount of damage that's been done. But again, you know, we're not judging anyone, and we do wish them well, because that was just extraordinary. But I think what you might want to look at and do your own research is how many dams have been, how can I put this delicately, blown up in Valencia. You can do your own research. Not that I'm a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but how many conspiracy theories have been wrong? 0. Ernst Goldfinger also said, Spain sent myself a message asking for financial help to clear up the mess. I replied, in kind, Foxtrot, Oscar. Good one, Ernst. Rusty Mouse, give us your blessing aid to slurp the wine. I'm going to say slurp the wine and munch on the cake. Well, it's better than, well, although munching on the rug is quite good, I'm told. So, yeah, you can have a slurp, you can have a full arm of the altar wine and as much Battenberg as you want, and rug as much as you want. You have my permission, Rusty Mouse. But don't sling a hymn in the middle, as there will be loads of crumbs spluttered out. I agree. Be kind to us, your parishioners. I will do, and also the choir boys, because they come in on a Monday morning, obviously to have their ninjutsu class, because you know what choir boys are like, trying to keep the vicar off, and they always say to me, but Reverend, look at the state of this, it's shite, man. Obviously they're from the northeast, and well, I've just got to be kind to them. I've just got to make sure that they don't kick off and accept a Mars bar from the local vicar. There's a blowjob gag in there, but I'm not going to do it, Your Honour. Andrew James said, thank you, the new Mrs. Allen. She just surreptitiously wandered in. Well, I say, well, I never. Tracy, the celibate sinner, apologies for the delay. Father Donaldson asked me to give his old Bobby's helmet a rub. He was in the fire service before he came to the cloth. Came on the cloth, I think is the word you're looking for. Tracy, the celibate sinner. And if it's a Bobby's helmet, he was a boy in blue. Although the firemen do have a similar shaped helmet, so I'm told by the experts. So if you're polishing any Bobby's helmet, then please do so. Fire Brigade and or the boys in blue. It's always a thing of great splendour. And I do believe that it's almost like a meditation, sitting there polishing your Bobby's helmet. I love doing it. Love it. Just want to hold that thought for half an hour. To Andrew James, you know when Labour are in trouble, when The Guardian is attacking Labour, give it time, Mrs. Bob Blackall-Reeves will push Starmer under the bus, along with Show Me Your Todger, Bike Shed Rainer. Oh, what can I say, Andrew? Yeah, you've hit the nail right on the head, Bonnie lad. 100% there. Bike shed, any shed, cow shed, allotment shed. She wouldn't get in mine. It's locked. And also, I am... So I decided this evening that quite a few people said in the chat on Wednesday that, oh, I say, it's the Reverend. I wonder what he's going to make of the budget. And I literally didn't really have time to get to any great depth. But I have done, just for you, over the last few days. And I'm telling you, that fecker that stood up in the dispatch box, Robert Reeves, Oh my lord, the mainstream press, the propagandist, they haven't even told you what's going on. They haven't even told you what's coming. I'm going to tell you tonight. And it's not one of those fear porn things where I'm going, hey, I'm going to tell you. It's like all these YouTubers just spouting shite and fear porn. Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Look, 18 months ago, I was telling you, Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? I warned you. I warned you. That's why you're here, because you love it. I told you about the Ben Gurion Canal before anybody else. I told you all the bits and pieces. I told you what was going on. I told you what Labour are about. Rent boys, normally. Or is that the Tories? So, I've just done my research. And I know these feckers have lied through their back teeth. How can you tell when a politician's lying? Their lips move. And Robert Reeves, I'm the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. Why don't you just foxtrot Oscar, bonny lass? You've got your head up your arse or somebody else's, maybe somebody likes that. It is the Houses of Parliament. They're up to anything in there. Rent boys, table tennis bats, oranges, nooses. Oh, you haven't heard that one yet. That was quite a good one. So I am. We're going to be creative tonight. We're going to talk about the Royals. Have you seen the Channel 4 Dispatches programme yet? Oh, I think Charles and William will have been looking through their hands going, oh my word, what they done, man. They make a fair few, Bob. I wish I was a penny or two behind them. But Channel 4 Dispatches, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I have watched it. We'll talk about Russell Brand. Oh, I say, Russell, why don't you go and have yourself baptised for a second and third and fourth time to absolve yourself of your filthy sins, you tart? No, I say that because obviously, have you seen the picture of him and P. Diddy and the egg? Because it's an initiation ceremony, don't you? Yes, one has to put an egg at one's derriere. Notice how that was nearly a spoonerism. Young Russell has got his hands on an egg, smiling, and he's got his arm round P. Diddy. And P. Diddy's like, go on, Russell, shove it up your arse, man. Oh, do I have to, P? Yeah, you do. If you want to be in my gang. What, Gary was in the gang as well, was he? No. That's some councillor or something in one of the Northern Councils who went to some party dressed as Gary Glitter. You couldn't make it up. Nearly as good as going as Jimmy Savile. So, if you want to be in Diddy's gang, you've got to put an egg up your arse. I'm not making this up. Genuine. I mean, it's bad enough us talking about Battenberg, because we all know what the Battenberg's for. Maybe I should have told Diddy. You see, can you imagine? I could have bought Kipling's out and then gone, here, Diddy, mate, you need to have the Scat Queen of Europe come over to one of your parties. There's nothing like a P. Diddy party, says LeBron James. And you could have had all this Battenberg. I would have made a fortune. He was a billionaire, seemingly. Who else? Bovril. I bet he was relieved. Happy finish, Theo Bovril, seemingly. PT Ham, evening, Adrian. Yeah, wrong. Budge up. PT Ham wants to get in the pews. Not quite sure whether you'll get in the front, but there's a radiator over there if you're feeling the cold. Some people, it's spring-like outside, and they're saying, oh, I say, it's rather cold. What, oh? No, bagger off. No, off wouldn't like that, but... No, it's the middle of spring, man. It's only when we get frost on the ground and snow on the ground and sub-zero temperatures can we ever say, oh, I think it's a bit nippy out. What, oh? There was a time when I was living in Nottingham, the temperatures got down to minus 22 outside overnight, minus 22. I mean, I felt the earth move and all kinds of stuff, but minus 22. I still had... the windows open in my bedroom. Obviously, I was sleeping on my Todd. There's no woman would sleep in a room that's minus 22. But I was sleeping on my Todd, and I was like, it's too warm in here, man. Too warm. And sure enough, I woke up the next morning thinking, well, was it cold last night or not? They said it was going to get down to minus 20. PT Ham, blessed are the cheesemakers. We're going to talk about Monty Python in just a little while. Evening, everyone, from Fred Barker. Welcome, Fred. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. And budge up in the pews. Louise Hampson. Evening, all. Evening, Louise. Tracy the Celibate Sinners at it again. Needed a good rub. All licked into shape now. Proper Bobby Dazzler. Yeah, mucky tart. Fred Barker says, currently watching a Columbo whilst waiting. Oh, I say, Fred, didn't he do? There was some roast. There was some roast that I saw the other day, a Frank Sinatra roast, and Peter Fox, who was kind of P Diddy before P Diddy, because they used to say that the Peter Fox, who played Columbo, his Oscar night party was the only ticket in town to get a hold of. Both hands, give it a rub, like Tracy the Celibate Sinner. Might go all over your hands though. So yes, Columbo. Not Columbo, but Peter Fox, who played Columbo, had fantastic Oscar parties. So I'm told. Never went myself, of course. I think the invitation was lost in the post. Rusty Mouse, PTM. I'm falling off the end already. Get your cheek on. One cheek on. If anybody hears the noxious emission of it might be PT Ham with one buttock on the pew. PT Ham says, the guy who got arrested for cheese, hard cheese for him. Can I tell you a little story, a little radio story? And I love this. I love this story. In the Northeast, obviously I've got a lot of radio friends, and there was one dear friend, a guy called Ed Harwood. And he was a giant of a man, fabulous voice. He did New Cadbury's Twirl. He did the voiceover for the TV ad, but he was in commercial production, or Comprod for short. And we went out for a few beers one night, and then off to the local Indian for a curry afterwards. And he said, "Do you know?" He said, "I had loads of names in my time." And I said, "Have you? Have they all been acceptable to yourself?" And he said, "No." He said, because I'm Ed Harwood, and that's me name, I used to go on Metro, because he was a presenter on Metro Radio while I was on Tees and TFM. And he said, I get all kinds of stuff. I was called Ed Hardboard, Ed Headboard, Ed Hardboard, Headboard, Wedwood, Neddy Headboard, Neddy Cheeseboard. And I said, where did they get Neddy Cheeseboard from? He said, I don't know, they must have been on the Alder Wine or something, or the Battenberg, because I used to get these regular letters, because back then there was no emails, back then there was no texting, back then there wasn't even mobile phones. He just said, I don't know. It was, so from that moment on, in my circle, he was known as Neddy for short, or Neddy Cheeseboard. So when you talk about that cheesy thief who nicked like 55 million tons of cheese, I mean, what did he, like a bit of Welsh rarebit? But he handed some back, didn't he? Or did he hand it all back, thinking, oh, it's too much for me to eat? I'd give it a good go, though. You and a few families of mice. But Ed Harwood was just the most wonderful, delightful, excellent presenter, but funny as, funny. I've burst my... he's not around anymore, but when I was with Ed, I would burst my incontinence pants on a regular basis. My stoma bag was always full. So thank you for reminding me about the cheese, and a little happy memory of Ed Hardwood, known to these parishioners as Neddy Cheeseboard. What a great name, though. Imagine thinking, so what can I call myself? Well, in the 70s, they would use two Christian names. So, yes, you could have Simon Bates or, what's his face, Davies, Gary Davies. You could have any of them. But I would have chosen Neddy Cheeseboard over any other radio name in the world ever. Wonderful memory. Thank you for just reminding me about the cheese. Rusty Mouse, PTM, Tracy the Celibate Sinner. Be careful, Rusty Mouse. I think she's a little lively tonight. Not sure what she's been on. It could be stronger than the Alder Wine. Might have been Synatogen. I think Tracy the Celibate Sinner needs a bit of iron in her blood, so she'll be on the Synatogen tonight before she gets stuck into the Alder Wine. Be careful. She's a live wire. Top of 69, evening, Adrian, and all you utter wrong-uns. Read the comments. Top of 69, you were mentioned earlier. No, sorry, not Top of 69. It was Terry Wookford. Is he in yet? Top of 69, welcome to the body of the Kirk, and see if you could... Night Nurse. Now, another radio reference, that was Mike Elliott. Mike Elliott said the night he turned up, absolutely shitted on air. To be fair to Mike, He was better in the kind of squiffy mode than most people are sober. He was wonderful. You know, a couple of liveners, him and some others, which shall remain nameless. But how can I say this? Late night radio takes a certain kind of person, and I know one that used to go next door to a particular pub and go, right, stick half a dozen pints on there. I'm going to go and do my show. And used to go in the studio with half a dozen. They were always empty by the time they finished. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful memories. Who said that? Yeah, Night Nurse. So yeah, Mike Elliott. The reason why he left was he turned up and he said, "Oh, I've got got a bad cough. I've had to take Night Nurse." And they went, "Let me smell your breath." "No, I'll be the Night Nurse. It's too sweet. It's all the sugars. It's a Night Nurse." My office in the morning when you've sobered up. Wonderful man. He literally had talent oozing out of his finger end. Wonderful broadcaster, wonderful raconteur, and loved him dearly. Sandra Wytham, I'll do a couple of more of these and then we'll get stuck into what you're really here for. And I promise you, I'm not pulling my punches tonight. And I'm not pulling my punches with WEF, with the Labour government, with any of these clowns that think they know what they're talking about. Because I've talked more sense out of my derriere after 10 pints and a curry. Yeah, definitely. Rusty Mouse says, there we are. Tracy has room. So I'd heard the rumours. Gene Psychic, hi there, everyone. I've got a mint gin. Ooh, gin, I say. Is that a gin with a leaf of mint in it? Or is that just a very nice, large G&T? It's mint, because it's mint, so to speak. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Super Ted, man. You're welcome. Fred Barker, Pennine Counties. Right, I'll get to the bottom of the comments. Thank you to everyone that's just got the wagon rolling, so to speak. So welcome to the Sunday sermon. My name's Adrian Allen. I am the Irreverent Reverend, and I'm going to get stuck in tonight. Not in a kind of, malicious way or an aggressive way, but I'm just going to tell you what you need to know, because we need to have this Labour government gone. But I say that because, Kemi Badenoch, the DEI hire for the Tory party, think they're going to get back into power. They're done. They're finished. All over. Done. Hide away and shite. But I also hear rumours that little jockey, cockeyed, rich boy is going to be the next leader of the Conservative Party. What can I say? What cockeyed? Is he really? Jackie Glasgow, must be loads to chat about tonight. Hiya, Jackie. You're damn right about that. But so welcome to the Sunday sermon. The next live is going to be this coming Wednesday, the 6th. Although I might, depending on the timings, I'm going to have a look at when, like, Donald would go, right, we've won. I'll try and time that and maybe have something live. I can't pre-record it. I'd rather do it live. But the next scheduled live is going to be this coming Wednesday, the 6th, at 8 p.m, of course. Quick mention of the legendary Battenbergers at the beginning of the show. As always, it's an honorific just to say thank you for people supporting the channel as we go along. Thank you to Stuart. As always, Stuart, I really appreciate your support. And Rich. Hopefully, Rich will be in the body of the Kirk this evening, as is Stuart currently. But thank you for all your support every live, every week. So we're going to talk about the Royals and the Channel 4 dispatches. Honestly, how much money have the royal family got? And they want us to give them more money. How do we? They've got bloody millions and millions and millions. But they might want billions. Just to keep the Montecito gruesome twosome going. We'll talk about Russell Brand. And to start off with, before we get into kind of stuff that's happened this week, I'm going to ask you a question. And I'm being serious. Surely you're not being serious. I am. Don't call me Shirley. Thank you, Stuart. Now, it's not a leading question. It's not a question that I'm going to have a go at you about. It's just something that I'm going to get up to over the next couple of days. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. But I'm going to ask you this question. 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe that Elvis Presley is dead? Andy Turner, 4. You're wrong. So, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe that Elvis Presley is dead? 1 for yes, 2 for no. While you're voting, let me grab hold of all this, because you've obviously been very busy in the comments. Interesting. Everybody's saying 1. Top of 69's having a 69. He said 3. Didn't give you 3. You're wrong. Napoleon blown apart. 1 now, but not in 77. Ooh. Napoleon blown apart. Cough. You're wrong. Nicky Watson, 2. In the field, Adrian Allen. Can we acknowledge that the chap who created the term Northern Soul now given a blue plaque in Sheffield? Oh, Sheffield. Dave Gogan now has a plaque on Charter Row, former Anvil Civic Cinema. Blimey, in the field. Didn't realise that. Northern Soul. I am a bit of a boy, and I do a show, a dance, disco, soul show on Zetland FM in the northeast on a Saturday evening, live, of course. And keep your votes coming in. Do you believe that Elvis Presley is dead? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And on that show on Zetland FM, I do a 3 before 8, which is what they used to do at the end of the session at Wigan Casino. 3 classics. I just love my Northern Soul. So many wonderful vocal performances. I mean, I did a really deep interview with Edwin Starr once. And we did a gig together. So I did the radio interview. I interviewed him for a couple of hours. It's a bit like a Rogan podcast, to be fair. And then we went to a nightclub and I introduced him on stage. And he was just A, insanely awesome, and B, insanely talented, and C, what a bloody voice. So it's just all, you either gravitate towards Northern Soul or you don't. It either gets your heart and just twists it. And I mean, I can't dance to save my life. I look like an elephant having a temper tantrum. But Northern Soul in the field, I just love. Do I love you? Indeed I do. So before we get into some of the subjects, we're going to talk about climate change. I'm getting stuck right into these clowns. And what's that? That bloke who's got the panda eyes. John Kerry. The American politician, he's just spouting out of his hairy backside, man. So I've got something for him, and he can go and foxtrot Oscar, because what I've got for him and all the governments around the world and all the governments and the WEF, they're not going to like me. So we're doing that. And also, and the reason I say that is I don't want it to come across as too dry. I want to be able to present it to you so that you get it. You absolutely get it. So you can either come back and reference it. We'll timestamp it and reference it so that you can come back and pick up the information that I'm going to give you. And when you have that, all these politicians, you know, when they knock on the door and go, oh, it's climate change. They're not. And you can say to them, would you mind answering me this particular question? And if you can't, cough. So just saying, it just trips off my tongue. So I'm going to give you that. I don't want it to be too dry. And I also, if I can fit it in amongst everything else, I've been looking at social media, looking at all of it. And remember, I'm also on X, very active on X, at Adrian Allen, if you happen to have a profile there and want to follow me, because I'm more active on there than I am here. But it's, so for people to get eyeballs, because it's all about attention, eyeballs, and people are saying the most outrageous things. And the reason why they're saying the most outrageous things is because they want clicks, they want likes, they want subscriptions, they want this, that, and the other, because it's monetized, but it's not always great quality content. And my my 40 years in radio, literally doing a daily phone-in where you had to create stuff for people to respond to, I'm even backing off with this fear porn because it's, you know, YouTube will go, oh, did he just mention the P word? I did, but not in relation to, you know, blue movies or anything, just stuff. And you can see people on social media kind of tickling people to get their eyeballs, and the way that X works, it's not like YouTube where you post a video and it's about how many people have watched your video and whether you're monetized and whether you've hit the right metrics. It's literally you have to get people into your comments section, and people commenting means they can place adverts and they make money and you make money. But I can't at the moment because I'm not monetized. But I'm just saying to you, we're going to talk about fear porn this evening. And just a quick aside, because I'm going to read you something that I think you might, on the one hand, find amusing, and on the other hand, find pretty scary. Lord Lucan, you know that there's going to be this TV show over the next week or two. So there's going to be more stuff about Lord Lucan. Can you remember Lord Lucan? He wanted to kill his missus, and the nanny just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, so he killed the nanny. The wife wasn't even there. It was just a nanny running around the house. So he bludgeoned her to death and then legged it. And there's been all these conspiracy theories, all these theories that, oh, he's here, there, he's everywhere. He was hidden by his rich mates in London. He's called Lucky Lord Lucan because he kept getting away with gambling debts and not and not getting found out about stuff. So Lucky Lord Lucan, seemingly, there's now a picture online of the murder weapon. Bludgeoned the nanny, bless her. But that's now in the public arena. And I think the nanny's son went and found who he thought Lord Lucan was under a pseudonym, different name, living elsewhere. And I think that's the premise of this show on Netflix, I think. Not too sure. But I will keep the eye open for it, and I will watch it so that you don't have to. Johnny Ray says, Rich Boy and Starmer would never take a job that pays 160 grand a year when they can already earn millions with no public scrutiny, unless they plan to steal the difference back with interest. Well, they... let's just say it's about power. It's not about money. At that level, it's just because they can do stuff. And can you imagine making a decision that will kill tens of thousands of people? Alan says, Lucan last seen in Australia. I thought he'd gone to South Africa, but seemingly there's an old boy in, you're probably right, Alan, in Australia, that the son of the nanny that was murdered by Lord Lucan has gone, bloody hell, it's Lord Lucan, and he's gone, who? Oh, don't be silly. But can you imagine? Hibiscus in the wrong cup. Ugh, divorce. So I was going to tell you something there. The Bad Wolf Project, Venezuela. Possibly, but I will tell you just another little aside. There's going to be lots and lots of information tonight. Another little aside. Who do you think is the country in the whole world, on the whole planet, that has the most oil reserves? Not Saudi. Even Canada's got more than Saudi, which I find incredible. So the country that has the most oil reserves in the world ever, that means the planet, the universe, everything, Venezuela. And I keep telling you, keep an eye on these 5 or 6 countries. Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, Russia, China, Hungary, and Syria. So there's 7 of them. And when there's any reportage in the news media, they're at it. The elites are at it. So I will guarantee you that there will be some kind of coup in Venezuela because they have the most oil reserves of any country on planet Earth. That's above and beyond Russia, who are trying to have energy independence. Stuart says, where's the Foxtrot Oscar mug? I know. I don't know what she's done with it. Blimey. Hibiscus tea's lovely. Mug? Well, at least I know me sex. Lottie Martin's in the body of the Kirk. Welcome, Lottie. Let me read this out. So we're gonna dance about around a lot of things with a lot of information tonight, and it's really important information. You know, I don't bugger about. I've never been to a Diddy party. So I want you to just imagine this after the budget on Wednesday, because I was apoplectic. Andrew James is double A Mr. T. I've got no jewellery on. Mind you, who was it that... there was some female politician with loads of gold around her neck. I thought, bloody hell, who does she think she is? Mr. T. Mr. Hibiscus Tea. Badum. More like red rum, spelled backwards. Murder, Alan, I know. So I want to read this to you. I'm going to take my time because I don't want any emphasis on the wrong syllable. But after Wednesday, it's called tax. Tax his land, tax his bed, tax the table at which he's fed, tax his tractor, tax his mule, teach him taxes are the rule, tax his work, tax his pay, he works for peanuts anyway, tax his cow, tax his goat, tax his pants, tax his coat, tax his ties, tax his shirt, tax his work, tax his dirt, tax his tobacco, tax his drink, tax him if he tries to think, tax his cigars, tax his beers, if he cries, tax his tears, tax his car, tax his gas, find any way to tax his ass, tax him all he has, then let him know that you won't be done till he has no dough. When he screams and when he hollers, then tax him more. Take all of his dollars. Then tax his coffin, tax his grave. Tax the sod in which he's laid. Put these words upon his tomb. Taxes drove me to my doom. When he's done, do not relax. It's time to apply inheritance tax. Took that out of my archive. Last time I saw that was about 30 years ago. But anyway, I thought it was quite pertinent considering what went on Wednesday. We've got things to make you go, coming. But I do need to make you aware of something quite serious before we get into some of the funny stuff and the irreverent stuff. Are you aware? Now, this is from the government's website. The government. Are you aware how car tax is going to end up? Did you hear that Robin bastard on Wednesday, technical term that we use in radio, did you hear her say anything about vehicle excise duty? Car tax. She kind of did, but she didn't go into detail, did she? No, the wonder she didn't go into detail, and none of these idiots, these clowns in the propaganda peddling mainstream media, whether it's the newspapers, whether it's the radio, whether it's the telly channels, where they'll sit there and do plank of the week, you fat tart. Get your fucking nose into some detail like this. Honestly, they make my blood boil. They're fucking inept. Won't have me on there, will you, lads? Vehicle excise duty, standard rates, up rating, that's up rating, not operating, up rating. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. I need to enunciate my words. The up rating for cars, vans, and motorcycles. Now, you haven't heard this anywhere else because it's not in the newspapers. It's not been broadcast anywhere since the budget. And the reason for me mentioning that? It bloody should have been. So, they're saying on the government website, as announced at the autumn budget 2024. Well, it was, but there was no detail there because it was too scary. As announced at the autumn budget 2024, the government will uprate vehicle excise duty, VED for short, the vehicle excise duty rates for cars, vans and motorcycles, excluding kind of first year rates for cars in line with the RPI, Retail Price Index, for the tax year 25 to 26. All of this that I'm about to tell you is going to kick in from the 1st of April 2025. So we're what, 5-6 months away? Honestly, at least Dick Turpin wore a mask. Bastards. So for these zero emission cars, that BS. Zero emission cars will pay the lowest first year rate at £10 a year car tax until 2029 to 2030. Oh, I say, what? Oh, so Agenda 2030 in line with that then? Yeah, we've seen through that. Rates for cars emitting 1 gram per kilometre to 50 gram per kilometre of CO2. So what comes out the exhaust, including hybrid vehicles, will increase to £110 a year. So that's next to nout. So your car's kicking out next to no shite, that's technical term, out of the back of your car. That's going to increase to £110 a year. Stuart says, all part of the master plan. I agree with you. It's the WEF master plan. Now, that's 1 gram to 50 grams. The 51 grams to 75 grams of the brown stuff coming out of the back end of your car, unless, of course, the manufacturer have tweaked the computer in the car, so they go, no, nothing coming out. So the rates for cars from 51 to 75 grams is 130 quid a year. Now, and the reason I'm saying this is I don't know what kind of car you have. There's no judgment here. I've had some right bangers in my time that barely went forwards and backwards. But maybe you've saved and you've got yourself a nice car. Either way, on whatever part of the spectrum you are, they're going to nail you. A bit like P. Diddy. They're going to nail you. And all other rates of cars emitting 76 grams per kilometre of CO2 and above will double from their current level. So I had to ask in the family, how much are we paying for car tax? Oh, it's about 160 quid a year. Yeah, well, that's going to be 320. You thieving bastards. You just, honestly, what do you expect from these clowns? Oh, it's all right, lads. I'm getting 100 grand in kickbacks. I'm getting 100 grand in freebies. I'm getting 100 grand in Arsenal tickets. Oh, you can off. It really make me angry. So the man and woman on the street, me and you, absolutely bend over, touch your toes. P. Diddy's going to shove his cock up your arse, as in Comrade Starmer. Me, angry. Behave. This is me being measured. All these are going to take effect from April 1st, 2025, so next April. And the vehicle excise duty consequential amendments to ensure zero emission light goods vehicles registered between the 1st of January 2007 and the 31st of December 2008 pay VED in alignment with their internal combustion engine counterparts. From the 1st of April 2025, it's with original policy. So everything's going to double. Everything. Whatever you've paid this year, it's double April 2025. Now, thankfully, our car tax runs out in March or February. So we can buy our car tax before they implement doubling everything. So, for example, if you're, I don't know, say you've got a little Polo, a little runaround, little Polo or the like, that's going to double from 220 quid a year for the older ones to 440 quid. I mean, the cheeky tarts. No, the wonder she didn't put any detail into the budget on Wednesday, because the minute she went, oh yes, we're going to double car tax, people would have gone, whoa, hang on you a second, yeah, dippy mare, what you doing? Yeah. So a little Polo, little runaround, maybe your first car, 440 quid car tax a year, road tax. Jesus, we need to get rid of these clowns. And as somebody has commented, 15-minute cities. I know what they're doing. They want you out of your cars and on public transport. But remember, on Wednesday, they upped the price of a bus ticket from 2 quid to 3 quid. 50% increase. The thieving gets. So, honestly, I just feel like Comrade Starmer Starmer the Harmer has gone, Adrian, touch your toes. Can you reach that far down? I'm just going to do this, and I'll get me my little miner's light on. So if you've got like a zero emissions light goods vehicle, like a van or whatever you use for work, that's going to be in line with everything else. And even HGVs, that's going to take effect from the 1st of April. The government's also going to upgrade the HGV levy in line with the retail price index. So it's just all this bollocks around. We said we were going to do this. Why do you need the money? Oh, I remembered. Yeah, for the fucking illegal immigrants. So 3.2 billion a year. And they're telling you to touch your toes. They want to give the train drivers a pay rise, the doctors, the junior doctors who whined for years that we're not being paid enough. Look, junior doctors, we've got your measure. We know what you're up to. How do we know that? Lockdowns and COVID, Charlie 19. We know what you did. We know why you did it. It's all about the Benjamins. Junior doctors, my hairy backside. We know what you're up to. Because you didn't come out. Well, not out. But some of them did. Some of the doctors came out and said, actually, we need to have a look at this because this is not a great idea. Loads of them, not interested. Just show me the money. I only took my medical degree and all my schooling because I just want to make shit tons of money. Or they want to do good for the society. Well, do it for 18 grand a year then. See how you like that. You can do a living wage, surely. All the kickbacks you do for signing forms. I mean, like a death certificate. It's a couple £100 just for putting a signature at the bottom. Oh, well, I went to university to be able to do that, you know. Yeah, so you don't need to go to university to start ripping the taxpayer off. Oh, let's have a pay rise of 35%. So they're all at it. It's all about the money. They don't care. It's all corrupt. They don't care. The whole system don't care. So now they're telling you, well, whatever kind of car you've got, from the 1st of April 2025, you are going to get nailed. And that bloody mayor in London, because they're now saying, well, whatever he's done in London, we're going to roll out in Birmingham and Manchester and Newcastle and Liverpool and Sheffield, all the big cities. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to shaft you. Now, I told you 18 months ago, because it's pretty evident now he's been in charge for a couple of months, what he was going to do. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't even care about his own bloody family. What shape's that got then, Comrade Keir? All he cares about is himself. Typical barrister. So it look, it makes me really angry. And the way that life is working at the moment is that people can say, oh, I don't know, I was trying to do the right thing. In March 2020, everybody was trying to do the right thing. I get that. I do get that. But if you tolerate this, your children will be next. And that's why I offer you some insight into stuff to not necessarily give you your answer, because you have a very unique take on life and a very unique lifestyle. It's yours, not mine. But what I do try to do is get you to get the grey matter going. And look, I'm here. If you struggle with anything or you just want to ask some questions, then I'm happy to help out. Things to make you go, we'll start with this tonight. Now, this year alone, the quota of illegal immigrants will cost the government, are you ready? I hope you're sitting down. You know all that car tax that you're going to have to spunk up? The quota of illegal immigrants that we know of, 3.2 billion to process. That's not ongoing support. That's just to process them. And they're telling you they're doubling your car tax. And they're going to tax you for this and they're going to tax you for that. And you're working your nuts off just to kind of stay level with things and maybe pull a little bit away for the future. And these thieving bar stewards are shafting you left, right, and centre. Gene Psychic says, I'm not surprised. 3.2 billion to process. That's them coming in going, all right, I'll come over here. We need to have a chat. That process, 3.2 billion pounds. Jackie Glasgow says cab fares will go up. Well, a friend of mine who will be watching this had to go down to the smoke and had a bit of a chew on with the black cabs because he's a very close and dear friend. And I know that what he tells me is straight up and down. And he couldn't get a black cab. He got down to King's Cross, had to go for a hospital appointment, and was trying to hail them and flag them down, and they were like, "No, I'm just going home for me tea. Oh no, I've got better things to do. What do you mean I'm a taxi driver? Oh, you've got your sign on. Oh, have I? Right, don't matter. I'm going." And eventually got a cab, and he said to me, he said, "Look, I went down to London, and it's a horrible place. Now I've been down to London a couple of times for work, and there is an old adage, you get into London for 5 years and then you get out. So this government are liars. This government is not worth the paper it's written on. And Keir Starmer, as much as it bothers me, even if he goes, and he is, it's anybody's guess. Either this side of Christmas or the other side of Christmas, when all the old deers are popping off, and they've already done their sums, and they reckon doing away with the heating allowance. So we'll kill off about 4,000 elderly. If it goes north of that, then he's in trouble. He's in when the body bags start piling up. Young communist Comrade Starmer is done. But who do you put in his place? Angela Rayner was being lined up, old Ginger Growler, and now Rachel Reeves, who, not bad presenting, but just didn't tell you the truth, didn't tell you everything. Now, please, if you want to go and do your research around car tax or vehicle excise duty, that I've just read to you is on the government's website. So it must be true. They wouldn't put it there. And that's why I read it from the government's website. So nobody can say, no, that's shite, that Adrian, Jackie Glasgow, I'm from Bethnal Green. All my family, except for a sister, have moved away. Yeah, because all the illegal immigrants. You've got Mayor Carnage. He's a WEF appointee. Although I read today that they reckon that Penny Mordaunt might be standing for London Mayor at some point. I think she'd do a much better job. But again, she's a WEF appointee. They've all been there. They've all been bought off. They've all been told exactly what to do. London will be one of the first 15-minute cities. So what they'll do is they'll divide it up into areas, which it already is, by postcode. But they'll divide it up and they'll make sure that everything that you need is within 15 minutes of where you live. Doctors, shops, I don't know, hospitals, everything will be 15 minutes. So it's a bit like Westworld. I don't know whether you watched the three or four series of Westworld. That's where we're going. But as I say, Alex, I'm being serious tonight. Stop it, woman.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
You can't, so shut up. 3.2 billion pounds to process, just to have them interviewed and sorted out. I know this is not, well, it kind of is connected, but not connected. I know that Tommy Robinson was jailed a week ago, and then he was moved jail on Thursday or Friday. And people were like, oh, he's been moved jail. Oh, conspiracy. No, he will have been processed. That he's gone into a Category A maximum security prison, Belmarsh, and they've processed him there. My concern is they've only downgraded him to a Cat B prison, a really foul, awful prison, the name of which escapes me. But I was hoping that he would get at least a Cat C or D, because it's not a crime of violence. It's contempt of court. He could do that standing on his head in an open prison. He's going to spend less than a year, probably less than 9 months, in jail. So I knew that he was just going to go in and be processed. That's normally the average prisoner goes in as a Cat C to be processed, and then will either stay or be downgraded or upgraded depending on the crime. But it is such a shame the way he's being treated. People are talking about him being a political prisoner. Not sure I can align with that, but he's being moved prison. I will guarantee you that he's moved again in the not too distant future. So, what was I saying? So keep an eye. It's on. Just go to .gov.uk, and in there you will get the vehicle excise duty increases that are starting on the 1st of April 2025, depending on the car that you have. I honestly, thieving bar stewards. Done that. Let's get to something a little bit lighter before I get to climate change, which is all just a ruse. It's all a scam, in my view. And I'm going to tell you how I know in just a little while. So let me very quickly go back to the question that I asked you. Is Elvis Presley dead? Do you believe that Elvis is dead? And I think it was like 90 odd percent. I think there was only a couple of people that said no. I know Des Ashton said I think he's driving a number 42 bus in Wigan. But the majority of people said yes. Keep watching the channel. Why would you say that, Adrian? Come on, that's a bit like woo-woo, isn't it? Have you gone tree-hugging hippie on us or something? No, it's not woo-woo. I'm going to present the evidence to you. Elvis is alive and well. You think I'm kidding? I never joke. So I was going to ask you, just to kind of balance things out, what is, in your opinion, the funniest movie ever? What is the funniest movie ever? Stick it in the comments so I can have a look. I will tell you mine simply because I have never laughed so much in all my life. Literally, when I saw it at the cinema with my sister and my brother-in-law, I literally couldn't stop crying. It was so funny. But what would you say is the funniest movie ever? So we got votes for Meet the Fockers, Christmas Vacation, Jane Psychic. Thank you, Kathy. Airplane, yeah, I thought that might be up there. Life of Brian, the Hugh Bovril. Gandhi, Keith James, yeah, utter wrong. It's Mad World, yeah. Anybody seen Porky's? So off the top of my head, Porky's had some, it's kind of old school, end of Blackpool Pier humour, but I've never laughed so much. Blazing Saddles, yeah, I've got that one written down. Crocodile Dundee, call that a knife. Dr. Dolittle, oh yes, was that the one where somebody did the Heimlich and they farted and set the curtains on fire? That was kind of a setup gag that, yes, of course, I laughed uproariously, but the rest of the film wasn't. Rusty Mouse, Porky's, yes. So I would say my top three would be Porky's number one, Monty Python, The Holy Grail number two. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Was that Life of Brian? And Airplane. Don't Call Me Shirley. I mean, all of it was just fabulous. So while you're doing that, we'll get on to some other stuff. What's the funniest movie ever? Something About Mary. Nice hairstyling. Have you noticed that she's disappeared? Went to Diddy parties. Listen, these Diddy parties are going to bring Hollywood down. They're going to bring the music industry down. They're going to bring the most powerful people in America down. Going to take it down. But Russell Brand, he's been to Diddy parties. There's also a file being sent to the CPS. Now, initially, it was the biggest story in this country. Weekend at Bernie's, Sharon Grinnell. Sharon, always pop cherries for first timers. Keith James on the buses. Oh, Anna Karen went on to EastEnders, didn't she? Made a few bob when she shuffled off. Caddyshack, yeah, another good one. Most of them went to Diddy's parties. Will the Diddy parties bring Labour down? No, I think it's mostly, well, no. Although, you know, these politicians, they get up to all sorts. I mean, if you look at the Royals, there's young Ginger Sphericals. He was definitely there. Look, there's only one question I want to know around these Diddy parties, and it's simply this. Did Ginger Sphericals meet his wife at a Diddy party? Or was it on a Diddy yacht? In the comments, if you have any ideas. I have my own. I'm not necessarily going to broadcast them. What about Bob? Bob. The builder? The old one? In the field, blazing saddles? Yeah, that farting scene around the campfire. Oy, 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 oy. How on earth I didn't literally burst my incontinence pants, I'll never know. Just the funniest thing. And to be fair, that's what we lads would do. If we were cowboys, that's what we would do. Sit around a campfire, fart and think it's really funny. Jean Psychic, she's a yacht girl, I know. Alan says, so where's Elvis? Aid. Well, he could be driving the 142 bus in Wigan. I think there's stuff going to come out about certain... I mean, there's Lord Lucan. They've traced him. And he was... he couldn't find... if you couldn't find Lord Lucan, you couldn't find Elvis. But now the theory's coming out. Giggity, diddity, giggity, Amalia, bless you. Have you had too much oil wine? Rob from Down Under, but now on top. Elvis works down our chip shop. There's a man... Oh, Kirsty McCall. There's a man down our chip shop swears he's Elvis. Might have been him, actually, genuinely. But I'm not going to kind of give it away because I think it's a great video that I've got an idea for. And I am genuinely going to tell you via the person that is Elvis, Alive, oh. And you're thinking, have you been sniffing some glue, Adrian? Have you been sniffing the barmaid's apron? No. Sober as a judge. Got me hibiscus tea. Jackson melted. He sat too close to a paraffin heater. Yeah, wrong. Wiggy videos. Not Elvis Costello wiggy videos like Elvis Aaron Presley. But I'm not going to give it away here because honestly, there are people that watch this, other YouTubers watch this and lurk in the background. If I told you now, they'd have some kind of video up later today or tomorrow. But as I've said to you before, I've spent 40 years thinking of ideas for a daily radio show of 3 hours. That's why I love doing these lives, because it's as close to radio as you can get in 2024 without it being radio. And I mean, I wonder if I'll ever do any live radio again. I want to get serious for a moment. Can you remember the teleseries? High on hibiscus, thank you, Rusty Mouse. Yeah, tastes like that. Did Simon Cowell attend Diddy parties? Thickly spread. Not sure. Don't think there's any photographic evidence. I think, so people are, if you look at Camel Toe Harris president run, all of these celebs are coming out. I mean, all of these celebs endorsing Camel Toe Harris, and you think, where are they coming from? What's going on here? LeBron James is the latest one. Oh, LeBron James, and I quote, "There ain't nothing like a Diddy party, so come on, LeBron, tell us. What have you witnessed?" That's about as pointed as I can get. But Camel Toe, well, she's vice president, so she will know, because the FBI attended, took all the stuff from his house, because his house was all cameraed up, took all of the videos, all of the evidence, all of the movies. So they'll have had people go through them and go, "Oh, I say, is that... No. Is that David and Victoria Beckham? No. Is that Russell Brand? No. Bugger me, is that J-Lo with a top off? Whoa, lads, here, come and have a look at this. There's J-Lo, and is that Beyonce shagging that bloke? I jest you not." So what they've done is, they've just gone round to everybody that's in all the videos at the Diddy parties and go, LeBron, mate, did you enjoy going to the Diddy parties? Yeah, laughed it. Yeah, we've got you on this tape. Do you want to go and endorse Camel Toe for us? Yeah, no problem. So you didn't know that David and Victoria Beckham went to Diddy's parties? Did you not? I wonder why you didn't get that. And Lady Gaga and Madonna. What were they up to then? And who did Madonna go with? And I will say to some of the other YouTubers, before I get into a little pathos around tonight, that you can't explicitly just name, because they're litigious in America. But I will say this: some YouTubers that I've been had the misfortune to see their videos, they are saying that the suspect for the Southport stabbings is the T word. Well, he's innocent until proven guilty in the eyes of the law in this country. And if they've put a case together for what went on in Southport, and subsequently he's been charged with terrorist offences, these people know, they are sufficiently experienced that they know it's sub judice. You can be jailed for flippantly remarking a certain thing. Paulie, you've got it. And it's... You can't say that. You literally cannot say that. The reason why the newspapers report things in a certain way is because legally they have to stay on the right side of the law. And I don't know why these other YouTubers, it literally scares me that some of them are going to end up in jail. You can't make definitive statements about someone when they haven't been tried in a court of law. And the judge overseeing it in the trial in January might wait to appoint a jury. The judge might say, right, I've got some social media stuff to deal with. You, come here. Stand in front of the beacon. They go, did you say that? Yeah, it's on video. Yeah, 6 months. Contempt of court, sub judice, 6 months. But it can go up to 5 years. So then these people can't squeal and go, oh, I'm a political prisoner. Oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, you did. You just didn't play the game. You won't get me making definitive statements. I've told you before the story of Rock FM. One of the lads on Rock FM come out with something just insane. And the judge went, hello, is that Rock FM? I mean, you know, I'm embroidering this. Hello, is that Rock FM? Yeah. Right, can I speak to the managing director? Hello, it's a judge. And, well, one of your presenters has, can I have a copy of the tape you're wronging? Oh, yes, Your Honour. Come here. Right. You are within a hair's breadth of being sent to jail for contempt of court because the judges have that power. And I wish that these you can fight the system, but you have to be clever. So don't give definitive statements that a person is this or this or this until they've been tried in the court of law. Then once they've been there, then you can talk about it as much as you want. What was I going to say to you? Yes. Can you remember the TV series Blackadder? And we're coming up to Armistice Day. We're coming up to Remembrance Sunday. We're coming up to the commemoration of the fallen in two great wars, many conflicts around the globe, but it's our time to respect them. And if I can find the video, I'll stick it up on my X, because I can't stick it up on here because of copyright. But Blackadder Goes Forth the Blackadder series were just wonderful. Wonderful. Is that canoe in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Just wonderful. But I will tell you that Blackadder Goes Forth was originally broadcast this day 35 years ago. Can you remember the last episode of Goes Forth where they went over the top? They thought that the guns had fallen silent, so the war was over, and they were sort of congratulating each other. And then it was like Blackadder said, no, that's not for that. It's just before we attack. And they went over the top. And considering, what's coming up over the next couple of weeks, I just thought it was a beautiful time to remind you of it, simply because, pathos and all humour is tragedy. It's just that them going over the top and giving their lives. Yeah, the cunning plan. It was, Lord Flashheart was brilliant, says Alan, I agree. But it was this final episode, and I thought, blimey, is that really 35 years ago? Tempest Fugit. But I remember seeing it for the first time, and it rooted me in the moment. That's what great TV does. It gives you an emotional response. Whether it's crying at Live Aid, whether it's laughing uproariously to a Billy Connolly joke, or seeing the last ever episode. There are talks of it coming back. Ben Elton might do it again, but it was such a beautifully done and portrayed last episode when they went over the top with the bombs and everything. It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I watched that couple of minutes at the end again today, just because we're coming up to the time where we do respect the fallen. So I just wanted to kind of add that into the mix this evening, just in case you have it on DVD, you want to watch it again. But it's a super powerful moment in what is supposed to be comedy. But as I say, I'm not quite sure who defined this, but all comedy is tragedy. But have a look at it. You'll know what I mean. Baldric had a plan, cunning plan, but the pathos was just beautiful. And somebody said, "Oh, I've got my poppy." I'm not sure. I don't know whether you, right. I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to have a vote on this because I found this really difficult to stomach. You know that there are people either selling white poppies. Now, it literally took my breath away. Look, I'm a professional broadcaster. I'm a professional communicator. I'm never lost for words. But people selling white poppies, don't they know what white signifies in a theatre of war? No, I don't mean waving the white flag of surrender. I mean cowardice. People were shot for cowardice in the two great wars. And they're selling poppies of cowardice. Oh, Jesus H. These people need to be taken out and shot. How disrespectful can you be? Wearing a white poppy to signify cowardice. Oh, no. Like a white feather. I agree. Who said that? Jean. Yeah, completely agree, Jean. You can't look as much as the path to hell is paved with good intention. As much as they would try and say, oh well, you know, I like the white poppy because it signifies this, that, and the other. It signifies fucking cowardice. Oh, and the rainbow poppy. Thank you for retro. Good to have you in the body of the Kirk this evening, sir. What? Now I get that there would have been people of varying sexual predilection in the war. But it's people jumping on bandwagons. It's people trying to arrest the process for their own ends. No, that's got to stop. White poppies. So white poppies, yes or no? Do you think that they should be allowed to sell white poppies? So you're voting yes for the white poppy itself? Or no, you think that it's just something that's, well, I can't even bring the words because I see it as cowardice. How do they dare? And again, it's people just trying to be clever. Now, how do we crawl back under your rock? Oh, well, I'm a left wing and I study politics at university. I've studied politics for 60 odd bloody years, and I can tell you, you need to shove your head back up your arse, mate, because you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. But I've studied political sciences, and I've studied social sciences, and I've studied this and I've studied that. Yeah, well, look where that got you. White poppy. Everybody's saying no. To a man. And we're all of a certain age on this channel of a Sunday evening in the body of the Kirk. And this is a respectful place. White poppies, my hairy backside. So those students wearing white poppies that think they're clever, wonder if it'll fit up their derriere. Now I am going to get serious now. Johnny Ray, this whole woke nonsense comes from the top down, not from the bottom up. For me, it seemed to take off in the mid-'80s. Now it's gone mad. Look, the whole thing about the wokeness is this. The legal profession are taught in university on their legal courses that a moral vacuum causes more for them to make money from. So the best thing that can happen for any lawyer or barrister is a moral vacuum, where these vacuous, superficial, egocentric sociopaths are sitting there going, oh, why don't we have a white poppy? Why don't you just golf? There'll be a barrister somewhere, just again as a little aside, you know the Fayed story? We all knew. I didn't know that he was a rapist. I knew that he was eccentric, and I knew that, you know, he was a bit of a boy. But look, if you've got hookers serving perfume on the perfume desk at Harrods, and the Arabs used to come around and go, that smells lovely. Could you have that delivered to my hotel room, please? And that was queue for how much me Batman will pay you. Come round to my place, and I'll give you good seeing to. So all that went on. That was all the powerful Arabs used to come into London. First port of call, Harrods. So, yeah, we kind of get that. But have you seen how many people? 140 of them. Why didn't they come out when he was still alive, when they could have taken him to court as a class case? Why? Oh, no. And there was one that came out that absolutely made my blood boil. But you know what's worse? As I say, lawyers and barristers, the perfect storm, a moral vacuum. And there's a couple of barristers heading this legal action up. How much money are they making out of this? That's all I want to know. Is it being done for integrity? Is it being done to show a bad man up for what he seemingly was, according to these people? Or is it just about the Benjamins? Howie, lads, just cough. Because the longer this goes on, the more people that are coming forward who want a bit of the gravy train. I'm just thinking that this is all a bit grubby. It's all a bit sullied. It's all a bit, can I have some money, please? Starmer's a barrister. An ostrich egg? I don't. Laura Sands, I don't think he's sticking. What are you talking about, Russell Brand? Adrian, what happened to Hannah Ingram Moore? She won't be milking Captain Tom this year, then? No, she won't, Paulie. I think she's still trying to flog off the house. Nobody's buying it. They've had to pull down the spa. But honestly, money makes people do weird things. If they think there's, 10, 20, 30 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand or $250,000, he was a billionaire, how much are they going to make? It makes people do weird things. Honestly. But so I'm kind of torn. I know he was eccentric. I know he's a bit of a lad. Met him, shook hands with him, sat in negotiations with him, and he's tough boys. And they didn't frighten me. No, I can't tell you that one. I will at some point, though, possibly in my biography. So it looks as if everything's kind of floating around, and there's thank you, Alan. Thank you for being a first timer. There's lots of, as I said at the beginning, there's all this fear porn. Make you scared, make you frightened, and you go, oh, and you might watch their channel for a little bit longer. But they're all at it. They weren't at it 40 years ago when I started, when I was getting stuff out about Edward Heath and stuff. No, they weren't around. And some of these, the shock jockery, they weren't. So I want to kind of stop and just take a moment for a bit of pathos, because the reason why I mention all this stuff that's going on around the world and with people, and as I say, from March 21, people have gone a bit weird. Have you noticed how, and I said this, I think it was last Wednesday, last Sunday's live, about I drove past this service station and there's a woman and a guy having a proper stand-up row. I mean, I'm sure it was, thank you, Stephen. I think it was going to be, it wouldn't have surprised me if they would started chinning each other. And I'm sure you're aware, you'll see all this stuff online where people they're just fighting each other for no apparent reason other than, I'm a dead hard man. Well, a hard man walks away. Best technique in ninjutsu? Walking away. You don't have to fight someone to be a hard man. But that was not the point I wanted to make. The point I want to make is this, that there are so many people now that they have their own hidden agenda, and their nastiness is seeping out of their pores. Have you heard about Peanut, the squirrel? So there's a guy online who found this little squirrel who had an injured leg. He nursed it back to full fitness, and the squirrel didn't want to go. The squirrel wanted to stay with him. So in essence, the squirrel became the family's pet squirrel and just stayed with him, loved it, stayed with him. And some scum-sucking pond life gets on to the police, and says, they've got squirrels in their house. So the police turn up and take Peanut, the squirrel, away and euthanize the squirrel. Now, as I've said before, please don't think that I'm some tree-hugging hippie idiot. But it's this meanness. Lottie is quite right. Thank you, Lottie. It's this meanness that's pervading the whole of society. Look, celebrities are done. They're finished. Celebrity is finished. Because once Diddy gets into court and the stuff starts coming out, celebrity is done. Finished. Over. Hollywood, my God, if you knew what they were doing. Adrenochrome, 350,000 babies go missing in America every single year. So Hollywood's done, celebrity's done, and there's a meanness being pervaded around our communities and our society that who would think to report somebody? Now, this woman, I'm not going to name her here, but this woman is being identified, has been identified, and now her name is going rapidly all over the internet. I think there was a raccoon also involved, and it was just, look, I've got some kind of intellect. I don't know how great it is, but Stuart's right. Two things I can't handle either. I agree with you and align with you completely, Stuart. I can't stomach any harm to kids and cruelty to animals. Because you can tell the psychopaths, they're the ones that mistreat animals from a very early age. But who would pick the phone up and ring the police and go, they've got a bloody squirrel? So we had, last summer, we had something in the house. Couldn't work out what it was. And it took us a couple of weeks to work out that it was squirrels. And we were torn. Squirrels, cute and furry. But once they're in up under your floorboards and in your house and in the eaves, they can cause untold damage. And it sounded like there was a bloody elephant under the floorboards. So rather than poison it or kill it, we just worked out how it was getting into the house and its run. So we just blocked it all off so it couldn't. But those little buggers, they were literally shinning up the side of the house. I mean, I get that some people don't like them, but I also get that they're God's creatures, man. But I promise you, over the next 2 or 3 days, the peanut squirrel story is going to get traction and traction and traction because the mainstream media love her and finally Esther. But who would do that to a bloody squirrel, man? Some people call them flying rats. I get that. Pigeons are worse. No, I can't tell you that one either. We'll change the subject ever so slightly because it's so sad that the hard-heartedness of, and again, you know, maybe I'm living in some kind of utopia where I believe that we all should be friends and look after each other. It's never happened. I mean, World Wars 1 and 2, if there's any kind of theatre, then we'll all bandy together. I mean, if you look from March 2021, when they were like, oh, we're going to lock you down for 6 weeks, everybody was like, if you need any shopping, I'll get it sorted for you. There was that uniqueness that we hadn't experienced for a long time. It was the great British spirit. And I just hope we can get there without having to have something massive and terrifying to make us respond that way. Yeah, 5D splitting from 3D. I agree, G. Oh. So I want you to keep your eyes open again, because I'm aware of, thank you, Rusty Mouse. Thanks for being a first timer as well. I want you to keep an eye on the supermarkets, and I'll walk you through this. A friend of mine tried to buy some stuff at supermarkets, and they were told, oh no, you've got 3 of those, so you can't have any more. He was like, I only wanted 4. Ah, well, rules are rules. At the checkout. And I remember that from the supermarket Nazis in when we got locked down in 20. And I remember the toilet roll debacle where people were just going in and buying, if you pardon the pun, it's intended, shit tons of toilet rolls. And you're thinking, how bad are the runs in your family? Why don't you just go out and wipe your ass on the grass? Bears do. Rabbits do. And people just lost their minds. It was incredible. People lost their minds. And now, but then the supermarkets went, right, you can only have so many toilet rolls. I mean, I was I was victim to some supermarket Nazi who turned around and went, well, you can't have all them. What do you mean? I'm doing my monthly shop, man. Right, you can't have all those toilet rolls. I said, well, I'm only buying 12. Yeah, no, you can only have, you can only have 6. I said, hang on, can I come in here today and buy 6 and then come back in tomorrow and buy 6? Oh, well, if... so thickly spread, thank you. So it's... Supermarkets are now trying to limit what you can buy. I don't know whether you've... if you have come across this, stick it in the comments for me. I don't know whether you've tried to buy something and they've gone, oh, no, you can't have that many. You can only have this. And then you kind of... But this a woman on the checkout says, oh, no, you've got 3 of those. You can't have 4. Put that one back. And what they're saying is, oh, well, as a supply chain, we've got issues. So supermarkets, whether it's the big uns, the Tesco's, the Asda's and the Morrisons and they're all the big uns, they're saying, oh, no, we've got supply chain issues. And you kind of go, what? You're a supermarket, man. Remember the government in 20 and 21 had to come out and go, look, the supply chains are fine. We're looking after the supermarkets. You can buy your normal weekly shop. And now they're saying, oh, well, it's kind of like supply chain issues because of avian flu. What? There's no avian flu in this country. Ah, well, from our suppliers. Where are your suppliers? Timbuk bloody 2. Oh, climate change. How is bog roll affected by climate change? So they're already preparing their excuses. They're already preparing what they're going to say to you. They're already preparing how they're going to limit what they're doing for you. And then you've got is it Ursula von der Leyen? Hang on, it'll be in my notes somewhere. Ursula von der Leyen has, that's it. Europeans have been told to stockpile food in case of war with Russia. It's fear porn. That's what it is. They're scaring you into submission. So I was thinking about doing a video about all the things over the last 6 months or so that we were being told, oh, it's going to kick off. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. We're all going to bloody die. And then we didn't. And it's that, trust me, it's that fear porn that they're trying to inject us on a daily basis. So I'll tell you this. Even though the headline says Europeans are told to stockpile food in case of war with Russia, there was one small column inch today, size queen, before you crack the gags, one small column inch that says Vladimir Putin wants to negotiate peace once Trump gets in the White House. And then you look at this guy, hang on a second, Vladimir Putin's telling us he wants to negotiate peace. And Turkey's firing missiles in the Black Sea Basin. Who are they at war with? Are they kicking off with Syria? Are they kicking off with Bulgaria? And it's all this reporting, oh, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die a painful death. Look, I hate to tell anyone, and I don't mean to be facetious about this, but nobody has eternal life. We're all going to die in some way, shape or form. Hopefully, mine's going to be... No, I can't say that anymore. I'm not a single boy. But anyway, we're all going to die. I hope that you live a long and healthy life. But when you've got people saying, oh, you've got to stockpile food Is that because it's running out of its sell-by date or in date? Hang on, Gene Psychic, too tight. So people living in the European Union, this has gone across the whole of the European Super Union, should stockpile emergency supplies in the event of war breaking out or another major emergency, a new report has advised. And I'm having to almost read this verbatim. As part of the strategy, the EU should advise households to be prepared to be self-sufficient for a minimum of 72 hours in the event of an emergency, this report has said. It advises member states to provide its citizens with guidelines on stockpiling, evacuations, and how to access emergency services, amongst other things. Whilst the report does not cite Russian aggression as the only possible threat, it cites it as a major one. The report notes that while the threat of Russian aggression is felt most by its immediate neighbours, Ukraine, Turkey, Bulgaria, any action by Russia against an EU member state would impact all of the bloc's 27 countries. So I am telling you right here, right now, that Vladimir Putin has said and is quoted in the press today, although it's not being reported anywhere else, that he looks forward to negotiating peace with Donald Trump once he's in power. Because a war only serves the military-industrial complex, mostly in America. I've told you repeatedly, 60% of America's GDP, gross domestic product, is arms or armaments related. So when the American economy is tanking, what do? They go to war. And Donald Trump has already told you that America is $35 trillion in debt. They can't trade their way out of that debt. It's more than 100% of GDP, gross domestic product. How can they get out of that? Digital currency. How can they get out of that? 94% of Bitcoin's been sold. There's only 6% of it left. All the banks have been buying it up. And then when Trump gets into power and goes, right, what do? We wipe the $35 trillion debt off. But then again, America can print its own money. So they can print $35 trillion. Who are they in debt to? Mars? And I don't mean Mars, people who make chocolate bars. I mean Jupiter and Mars. So you can see that this fear porn is being injected to you. There's no need to fear. Now, it's easy for me to say. I'm just this talking gob on YouTube. Really easy to say. But I have responsibilities and, I look after my family as most of the people here because we're all aligned. We all think similar. I'm watching out for everything. And I know that the money laundering for the United States elite through Ukraine has been nothing short of abhorrent. And Putin's sitting there going, all right, lads, I know what you're up to. That's very funny. Who said that? Fred Barker. Diddy is indebted to Uranus, apparently. That's proper funny, Fred. Thank you. But it's... So the newspapers go, oh my God, we're going to die. I wish you bloody would. If you look, stop it. Shut up. Shuffle off. Stop telling us that it's all going to kick off when, for the last couple of years, the Ukraine war is now, 3 years old? And it hasn't escalated. Putin's saying if you bring NATO into it, it's going to be a proper skirmish. And now that North Korea is on the border of Ukraine, Sniffy Zelensky's kicking off going, oh, wait, lads, you can't have the North Koreans coming in, man. We're at war. Yeah, well. How many Bugattis has your missus got? And talking about the American presidential election, as I was, were you aware that an ABC affiliate mistakenly aired the election results for Pennsylvania during a Formula One? It was you know what they call it, a ticker at the bottom of the screen. So the results for Pennsylvania appeared on the ticker at the bottom of the screen during a broadcast of the Formula One Mexico Grand Prix by ABC local affiliate WNEP TV on Sunday. It showed Kamala Harris taking the state with 52% of the votes, whilst Donald Trump's share was 47%. They're cheating. They are cheating. Just somebody dropped a massive bollock. So, technical term we use in radio. So, if it comes out of Pennsylvania that Camel Toe gets 52% and the Donald gets 47%, oh, election interference, anybody? Cheating, anybody? WNEP, if you've seen the Howard Stern, WNEP TV said that the numbers came up on the screen in error. Oh, you bet your sweet bitty. And they say they'd been randomly generated as part of a test ahead of election night on November the 5th. Squeaky bum time, anyone? Oh, I bet. So let me get to, I do have a lot. Remember the 5th of November, it's on Tuesday, not necessarily the American presidential election, but 1605, and the Catholics from York went down to London and said, right, let's blow up the Houses of Parliament, and got caught out. Guy Fawkes, seemingly, that's why we're supposed to burn an effigy of him, 400 years, bloody hell. So, very quickly, I want to talk to you about the farmers and my take on it. I've told you in the 2 years that we've had this channel, and I've tried to sort of baby step you through something that's actually quite huge and takes a lot of the old grey matter to get around. And I know, a lot of people that watch this channel get it, absolutely get it. But now that after Wednesday, Robber Reeves and Comrade Starmer shafted the farmers. Remember I was telling you a few months ago about the demonstrations in Germany and Spain and France, a little bit in Portugal, and the Dutch. All of those countries, all of those farmers were protesting because they were being shafted by their own government. They were being shafted by the World Economic Forum, if you will, or Bilderberg Group, because they're all still officiating. They're all still in there. And now we've got the British farmers that are getting it stuck right up them by Robber Reeves. I'm the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. Oh, fuck off, man. Not interested. And I know that you do, some of the initiations that the elites are concerned in with Moloch, and they do these various rituals where they literally don't care. They don't care about you, don't care about me. All they care about is their family, their children, and the next 3 generations. I've told you repeatedly on this channel, the elites planned for 3 generations. If you look at Queen Elizabeth II, she planned for her own children, which was her heir and spare and others. She then wanted her grandchildren. So she planned for 3 generations. That's why Diana was brought in as a brood mare, because they know they would get strong kids out of her. I mean, Charles the Weak. I'm surprised he knew where to put it. Well, he knows where to put a tampon, so I suppose. So, as I say, the elites plan for 3 generations. Everybody else, me and you, just plans for Saturday night. So they all know all the transference of wealth over the last 3 years. It's into their coffers so they can ride out whatever comes. That's why they're doing it. But the farmers, how weird, man. Some people, I know that the numbers that are being bandied about are, well, you can get 1 million, then 2 million. So it's about 70% of farms won't be affected. It'll just be those with huge farms and huge money and huge wealth. I get all that. But have you noticed how the mainstream media, the propagandists, who they may get a lot of things wrong, but the only thing that they never get wrong is the price on the front of the papers. They have not told you once about the vehicle excise duty that I told you about at the beginning of this live, that's going live on the 1st April Fool's Day, 1st of April 2025. And I don't know whether you're aware of it or you've seen it. I've seen a little bit of it. Some of it just makes me want to heave. Bill Gates and his TV series, What's Next on Netflix. He's lying through his hairy arse, man. Lying. Because we've seen him say other things that contradicts what he's saying in this TV series. But the farmers are being shafted, and I believe that what Comrade Starmer and his fixers in number 10 have done is they've used this moral indignation to keep us away from the real shafting that's coming for me and you, which is car tax. The farmers, they've got I saw one example of a guy that's running a farm. He's got his nana who's in her 90s, and when she goes, because she owns all the farms, they're going to have to do inheritance tax. So they've got you. But go to the accountants. The accountants know how to play the game. But the farmers have taken a real shafting after the Spanish, after the French, after the Germans, and the Dutch especially. And that's why they want Ukraine, because Ukraine's the breadbasket of Europe. And if BlackRock, you may as well say State Street and Vanguard, they own 47% of the land in Ukraine. What's that bloody land? Farmland. So as a situation report, as a sit-rep, this is baby steps as to where we're going. It's Agenda 2030. You can find it anywhere on the net. But what they do, and I've said this to you before, what they do is you put a frog in a pan of boiling water, it's going to jump out. But you put a frog in a pan of cold water and then turn the heat on, it'll boil to death. So that's what they're doing with us. They don't give us sight of where they're trying to take us. But if you know the journey, you know the outcome. And it's very challenging, because all we want to do is just be happy. We just want to have our lovely lives and our friends and our family and, a bit of niceness every now and again. But it just is non-stop, constant non-stop. Rich says, easy way out, transfer before 7 years of death. My wife and her brother have been gifted their mum's house over the last 10 years. Yeah, I understand that, Rich, and it is a very good way. But in this particular example of the old girl who's in her early 90s, she's not going to live to be 100 unless she's got some constitution on her. But they need to stick it in a trust. Put it in a blind trust. Amalia, exactly. Gene Psychic, yes. Rusty Mouse, we will all eat grubs. No, we won't. Because remember, what they forget they're dealing with is the British. And we don't back down. We love a fight, us, man. Nobody's ever beaten us. Even Napoleon. He had to bugger off to Egypt once he faced us. So it's like when I used to watch Star Trek, and it was always, the aliens were always the baddies, and some of the aliens were like really pretty girls who Captain Kirk had to have his wicked way with to make sure that the aliens buggered off. Pun intended. And it was I don't know whether this affected you emotionally, but I was watching thinking, we need them to win. We need the goodies to win. Not the goodies to win. I'm talking about Captain Kirk and his team. We always needed them to win, and they always did. They always gave us hope. They always won. Now, not the surrender cheese-eating monkeys from France, according to the Hartlepoolians, because they hung one, remember? We are Brits. We have the British stiff upper lip. We have a rod of steel running right up our spine. If they start to pick a fight with us, and it goes for any of them, yeah, we can end 1984, Alan. Look at what happened when, and I said to this to you on the other live. They're calling them Farage riots. No, they're not. He had nothing to do with them. He was not there. But they're labelling them ahead of time for the general election in 2029 or the local elections in May next year. They're labelling and besmirching Nigel Farage's name, calling them the Farage riots. No, they weren't. But you and I know that. You and I are sharp enough to get what they're up to. So they know that if they really brass us off, we're all on the streets and we're all kicking off. Now, Churchill, for all of his faults, he turned the guns on the British people back at the turn of the last century, before the World War I, when he was a liberal. So it's not a first. America might do it on Tuesday if it all kicks off. They've already got laws in place so that the army can shoot American citizens dead. Oi, 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 they've all got guns. Can you imagine? They've had it. Camel Toe held an amnesty and said, oh, if you want to turn your guns in, they're not stupid, because that could have been 2 years ago when you think, oh, just hand me guns in, don't need them anymore. And then 2 years down the line, it's all kicking off and it's civil unrest. I'm not suggesting that will happen, but I just want you to be aware that the farmers are struggling. No farmers, no food. And what do? Go to supermarkets that won't even sell us more than 3 things of any particular, tins of beans. Before I get to really giving you mind-blowing, eyes wide open about climate change, because you're going to need this in your back pocket, just want to say about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, who 15th, so hang on, where are we, Sunday? So it's 2 weeks yesterday. I'm looking at the body language of Jake Paul. Likes to think he's a hard boy. I want to be world champion. Go on then, Bonnie lad. But what he is facing is singularly one of the most skilled killers, if you wish, there's ever been in a boxing ring. Mike Tyson don't care. He came up from nothing, and if Jake Paul gets a bit leery, he has grown a really manly big beard. I'm a man. Mike Tyson is more than that. He's skilled. He's a student of fighters, leaders, thinkers, philosophers. But when you put him in a boxing ring, oi, oi, oi. I mean, I know they're looking at taking on the British fighter after this one, because it's worth a lot of money as a spectacle. But Jake Paul, he's absolutely scared shitless. You can see it in his body language. He's not got the skills. They've made it a proper bout, so it's 2 minutes each, and I think is it 8 rounds, 6 or 8 rounds. And Tyson is nearly 60 years old now, but he has been training. He's not been very well for part of it, but I will tell you, he's too skilled for this lippy. And there's clauses in the contracts. He can't walk into the ring and spark Jake Paul out, because then he don't get paid all of his money. They want a spectacle. So they're probably going to have Tyson run around for 3 or 4 rounds and then bang him out. But if Tyson hits him with an uppercut, boy's gone. And he's not skilled enough to deal with the talent of Mike Tyson. Can you remember on the airplane a few months ago, well, more than 4 or 5 months ago, there was some drunk guy getting a bit lippy and saw Mike Tyson on the plane. So I was like, oh, Mike, oh, Mike, oh, Mike, and went behind him. So Tyson just stood up in his chair and started pummeling him. And the guy knew he was being cracked, because everybody thinks they're a hard man until... what's the everybody thinks they can fight until they get smacked on the nose. I'm going to watch it. It's free. It's Netflix. The audience will be massive. But Jake Paul, you can tell by I saw one of the weigh-ins, and he walked in and did a Conor McGregor. So there's not an original idea in his head. He kind of put his dukes up and he was like that. Conor McGregor's an original. And Jake Paul, Tyson is going to eat him for breakfast. The only thing is his age. So the recovery is not at 60-year-old. It's not. I know. Even just walking around now, I get out of breath, and you think, blimey, in my youth, I was a sprinter. I was 7.1 seconds for an indoor 60 meters at Gateshead. I was quick. Now, it's more like 7.1 minutes for an indoor 60 meters. And yes, it's live on Netflix. It's free. But so if Tyson loses against Jake Paul, there'll be a huge amount of people turning on Jake Paul going, oh, you beat up an old man. But if Tyson wins, it's like, oh, he deserved it, as in Jake Paul. So Jake Paul can't really win unless it's about the Benjamins, the money. And he wants to be a world champion at something. So we'll just keep... I mean, I saw this kind of weigh-in, this face-to-face, and Mike Tyson was just laughing. But Jake Paul was doing all the serious stuff and the posturing, and Mike Tyson was like, let's just get in the ring, shall we? So there's Jake Paul. Maybe he went to a Diddy party because he's going to take a battering in the ring, let me tell you. Right, I just want to use this to round it off, because I just want to... There's a silliness that's being promulgated. There's a silliness that is climate change. Now, I know that when I mention those two words, I get like, I don't know, fact checkers or something. So this video, where at the beginning of it, where all the comments go, it'll tell you what climate change is and isn't. Well, to all the social medias out there, I've taken time to consider this. And I've told you before, I'll give you just a couple of words: chlorofluorocarbons and the ozone layer in the 80s. We're all going to die. Fear porn. We're all going to die. AIDS. We're all going to die. They keep telling you this. And it injecting the fear paralyzes you. You don't know what to do. Look at March 2020. The fear was injected. You stood on your doorstep and you rattled your pots and pans for the NHS, when the NHS weren't doing much except doing dance videos for bloody TikTok and Twitter. I had close friends die. So again, you don't really know what is the truth and what isn't. So I will say to you categorically that the media is so incompetent at even basic science. Told you. Chlorofluorocarbons and the ozone layer. It repaired itself. The media would never be able to answer any fundamental climate questions if they were able to. We'd see balanced and accurate articles about climate issues rather than the usual doom-laden, fear porn scare stories about a non-existent climate crisis that we see nearly every day. So, if anybody sits in front of any of these inept journalists, we could ask questions like, so you claim that the Earth is overheating, that it's too hot, and I'm talking to a journalist now, I'm talking to the mainstream media, I'm not talking to you. So you claim the Earth is overheating, that it's too hot. So, there's something called a GMST. It's a global mean surface temperature. So the question I am asking you as a journalist is this: what is the correct global mean surface temperature for life on Earth, and why? And if that's difficult enough for you, I'd ask another one. Why are temperature departures from 1850 to 1900 climate conditions deemed as the human welfare control knob, given that the overall human condition has never been better than it is today? In other words, what are we departing from that happened in 1850 to 1900 when those climate conditions deemed the human welfare control knob, given that overall human condition has never been better than it is today in 2024? It would make them go and do their research. And again, I'm going to ask you 10 questions. And if you can, write some of these down, because these intellectual pygmies that operate the mainstream media are not going to ask any of these 10 because they're paymasters from up there, like John Kerry, who couldn't ask a question if it stood up and bit his nose off, or his panda eyes for that matter. He's an intellectual pygmy. So I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask or you can watch for in the mainstream media to see whether they're ever going to ask them. Because these are pointed. I've done my research. So if you combine in climate change, is a global concerted effort. So if it's the whole world, the whole globe, climate change affects everyone. Why is it that China and India get a free pass to continue emitting carbon dioxide without any restrictions? So why is the whole globe having to do what you tell us to do, and yet China and India can do what the hell they want, and there's billions of them? They've got 2/3 of the planet in those two countries. Tell them to pack it in. So, here are 10 fundamental questions that climate alarmists never answer. They never get asked them, so they never answer. So, John Kerry, let's wonder. So the question one would be the fact that Earth is overheating, so it's too hot. So, what is the correct global mean surface temperature, GMST, for life on Earth, and why? Twats. And I would ask them to provide a numerical answer and use units and round them to the nearest 10th of a degree Celsius. So don't bugger about. Straight questions, John Kerry and the like, an inconvenient truth, mate. Explain why that value that I'm asking for is ideal and cite evidence to justify your answer. So give me the science, not that science, because remember when we were in lockdown and Charlie 19, they were quoting science. And then when we quoted science back at them, they went, no, not that science. Question 2. What is the correct atmospheric CO2 level for life on Earth? It's really simple. What is the correct atmospheric CO2 level for life on Earth? What is best to optimize our agricultural productivity? So to help the farmers, help us and feed us. What is the best to optimize our agricultural productivity, as in the correct atmospheric CO2? And what CO2 level will make the weather less scary? Chlorofluorocarbons and the ozone layer. So to any journalist that's watching this and think, oh, I might give us your answer in an exact value as a mole, fraction, or volume percentage, and then explain why that value is ideal. I'm not mucking about, because I will tell you, I might put this in another video, and I will guarantee you that nobody will attempt to answer these questions. Really simple one for question 3. What exactly makes CO2 pollution? The EPA considers CO2 to be a pollutant. Legally speaking, under the Clean Air Act, and their scientific justification is simply that it, and I quote, contributes to greenhouse gas pollution that threatens public health and welfare. It's pretty ambiguous, don't you agree? So because of that, and by that measure, water vapour should also be classified as a pollutant because it's also a greenhouse gas, GHG. It's also the most abundant and potent greenhouse gas. It absorbs a wider spectrum of IR wavelengths than CO2. So what exactly makes CO2 a pollutant? I'll wait. What exactly makes CO2 pollution? As I said before, the temperatures between 1850 and 1900, those climate conditions deemed as the sort of human welfare control knob, so to speak. How is that climate at the end of the Little Ice Age, as they term it, the coldest period in the last 10,000 years, how is it that that Little Ice Age is preferable to today's? On what account was the weather more benign? By what measure? And I want them, anybody that's answering this, to be more specific. Tell me how the climate was supposedly less dangerous in the 17th to 19th centuries when we were sending kids up chimneys. Now, the IRA, it's the Inflation Reduction Act that President Biden signed into law in 2022. Remember him? President Shitty Pants? It was popularized as the biggest climate bill in history. But ever since that bill was signed, climate alarmists insist climate change has only gotten worse. So, why are we not seeing the bill work its magic? You know what I'm doing there, don't you? So, question 6. If we spend 75 trillion, remember, America's 35 trillion in debt, it's never going to be able to trade its way out of that kind of debt. So if the America, say, spent 75 trillion to decarbonize the economy by 2050, it's only 25 years away, by how much will it reduce the GMST by the end of the century? So please provide your answer, John Kerry and the like. Please provide your answer to the nearest tenth of a degree Celsius and show your calculations. What does the perfect climate look like? How will we know when we get there and by what measure? That's the real kicker. What does the perfect climate look like? How will we know when we get there and by what measure? Inconvenient truths, my hairy backside. So, net zero. You know that little rich boy stood up in the House of Parliament. We're going to have to ditch net zero. And everybody was like, why are you ditching that? So the estimated cost of net zero by the year 2050 in America is 75 trillion, 3 trillion a year, 25 years. According to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, that is a hefty price tag, let me tell you. And with 260 million adult taxpayers, it would cost each American taxpayer £288,500 to get to net zero emissions. That's 3 to 6 years worth of people's salaries. They're not going to do that. They're not. But they're going to make you fear. They're going to make you scared. Fear porn, fear porn, fear porn. America is 35 trillion in debt and they can't pay their debt off by GDP, gross domestic product. They can't unless they go to war. Even then, they can't trade their way out of it. And they're asking the American people to cough up $75 trillion. Each American citizen would have to pay, that includes the kids and the grannies, £288,500 each. Now, I would ask the politicians, are you willing to shell out that money or do you just expect that everybody else will foot the bill for you? Yeah, thief and bar stewards. Secondly, if you don't know the answer to question 6, then are we supposed to just spend the 75 trillion and see what happens, mate? Oh, we're all going to die. Well, you're right about that. Oh, but it's climate change and warming and things and flooding. Well, stop seeding the bloody clouds then. We see it every day. So if we're combating climate change as a global concerted effort, as I say, why did China get a free pass? And India? Cough that one? And if it was John Kerry, I would say, so why are you so vehemently opposed to the deployment of nuclear power? Well, I think the Japanese tsunami explains that. It is, according to some experts, the safest, most sustainable carbon-free energy technology, and without the compliance regulations, isn't expensive when compared to solar and wind power, said Thomas Dolby. And finally, Mr. Kerry, if humans are a parasite to the earth, since we are destroying it, why then are you worried that climate change could wipe us all out? That's what they're saying. That's the fear porn. They're injecting it. We're all going to die. Everybody on earth. We're all going to die. Wouldn't that be better for Earth if we were all wiped out? Why don't you be the change you want to see and net zero yourself, Mr. Kerry? So you'll notice that just some of those questions that I've thrown together by my own research. There's nobody in the media doing that. There's nobody in the media actually explaining it and then asking pointed, inconvenient truth questions of the politicians, because they don't want you to ask questions. They just want you to do as you're being told. No, that's why we're English. That's why we're British, because we don't do as we're told. We don't lie down to some imbecilic, intellectual pygmy of a politician from America. Your country's so far in debt, 35 trillion, you can't trade your way out of it unless you go into Bitcoin, in which case it'll all be inflated by the banks, so the banks make a shit ton of money and impoverish the people. Now, maybe you need to look at this and have a look at this again, just to get some of what I've said, because it's a lot of information to take in. But I thank you for staying with me just to get to that. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's live, because there's been a lot of information in it. I'll keep going for you. As far as is Elvis driving the 142 bus in Wigan, I'll come up with some evidence over the next couple of days. If he punches me ticket, I'll let you know. And I want you to be safe and well. And please spread the word about these lives. I don't muck about, although some of them are really fun and we'll do lots of different things. It's never the same way twice. Hang on, that's the American broadcast system, isn't it? NTSC, never the same colour twice. So I want you to enjoy this, but at the same time, we need to cut through. As I've said many times before, what's the first casualty of war? The truth. And I like to think that we can cut through the fog of war with these lives. So enjoy the next couple of days. Let's have some fun. And if I can work out some way of doing a live and it's worthwhile for you on Tuesday, we'll do it over the American elections whenever the results come in. But the next live is going to be on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Don't forget, I'm on X, Twitter, at Adrian Allen. That's my real name. And I look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. So thank you for your likes. Thank you for your subscriptions. But most of all, your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. Yours wrongfully. Don't forget to clean up as you leave the body of the kirk. I don't want the choir boys giving me hassle in the morning. And see you Wednesday. The journey continues.